There's really no substitute for being in person. I mean, Zoom and online is great, but it's the being in person that I'm finding that is the most rewarding.
You're a passionate creative, and so are we. Join me, Brie Stockwell, and my podcast partner, Len Metcalf, as we navigate the ups and downs of living creative lives while teaching you how to do it too. Time to pull back the curtain on our creative affair.
My mic has changed today, so if you're listening before you start editing this, you will hear that my voice might be a little bit different.
You
might
mean
need
sexier?
to be louder or quieter. Oh, it's sexier? That's good.
I don't know.
had it on dark before.
Maybe. Yeah, I have mine on dark.
I don't have that control anymore. And there's no bouncing lights on mine anymore either.
Ah, well, we were just talking about our topic today. I lovingly called it group magic, but the title might be something different because of, creative license and all. But Len, will you tell about your friend that does the sewing group? And then we'll get into why we're talking about this in a minute. But I love that. Will you share that?
Well, we should welcome everyone to a Creative Affair podcast. And it's so lovely to have you today. And we're here with Brie Stockwell and Len Metcalf. And my friend was telling me about her sewing circle, and they get together as a group maybe once every few months, and they all go to someone's house and they all take their sewing machines and their projects that they're currently working on, and someone suggests a theme for the day, and the theme's a colour, and it's not that you come and make things in that colour or anything, but you might get dressed up in that colour or bake some green cookies, or if it was green, and bring some green drinks, and maybe wear a green dress or a shirt or something, or a green scarf to come together. And at first there's probably a glass of champagne or something, and lots of talking, lots of sitting around and sharing stories, sharing ideas, sharing progress, and sewing. The interesting thing is that there might not be lots of sewing done that particular day. There might not be anything magical made that day. But the magic, and I really do believe it's magic, is that inspiration comes from that day. And you go home enthused and excited about your love for what you're doing, totally inspired and engrossed and into it. I'm just so fascinated to hear that story about this beautiful group of women sewing.
Should we pick a color theme? Just kidding. I picked black.
Black.
I love black. It's either black or all the colors. When we're done, I'll show you this new shirt I have. It has tigers on it. It's so fun. Okay, just an aside. I really love creating in groups. I also love creating solo, which is kind of, I think a lot of us end up creating solo because we have that time for introspection and quiet, or maybe we have a lot of music, but sometimes the music is just like drowning out all of the extra noise, anything extra that might bother us, or we need music. You want music to inspire us. So, and that's kind of why I like creating solo. I like the introspection. I've learned to be okay with the quiet, which I love, but you're right, Len. There is something very magical about creating in a group. And I think that's why you and I we love creating on our own, but we love creating spaces for people to come together to create in a group. And we do this in so many different ways. I mean, you've done things via Zoom. So have I. We've both done things in person. And there is really something special about the energy. I think magical energy of people coming together to do one thing. Let me tell you a recent experience I had. I'm here in Utah visiting my daughter. She just had a baby, and visiting / helping, making dinners and putting it in her freezer for later. And so I've been taking a few days to get work done and, on the side. And one of the days I was like, I need to just go to see art, go to people's studios, go to wherever, And so I went to it's kind of a smaller town that has a up and coming art scene. It's called Ogden, Utah. It's just small. And I walked into I think it's called Ogden Contemporary Arts. And their like studios are called the Monarch. And when I walked in, they had this group. Let's see, hang on. Let me think of it. A community collaboration where and they had all of these potter's wheels, ceramic wheels. What do you call them? Anyway, wheels for pottery. I will learn what they're
They're
called.
called wheels.
They're just called wheels, right? Like
A potter's wheel. A potter's wheel.
I mean, I've taken a class. I've taken a pottery class before, but it's been ages. So anyway, you could go in and they were having the community create bowls that they were going to fire and glaze and then auction off in a couple of months. And so when I walked in, they were like, come in, come create a bowl. And there were like mentors there that would help you do it, that would help you center the clay on the wheel and help tell you how to do the bowl, like supervise you. And you could see other people in the room. So there was all of this different, like these different groups happening, with one-to-one, like a student and a mentor, a public, like just off the street student and a mentor. And it was really fun because there was like an energy in the room where people hadn't paid to do this. And the people who were there were volunteering. And it was just really beautiful. Too bad I'm not going to be here when they auction off all the bowls. But even just the learning part from absorbing all the, watching all the people do their things. And I just thought I just felt the energy in the room. And it was really beautiful because everyone's smiling, enjoying each other, learning. You could see people concentrating, like I was concentrating, asking questions, really being careful about what I was doing and being open. Oh, I love when I'm being instructed. I love being open to receive the instruction from a mentor. Anyway, there's all of that kind of energy going on. It was just really beautiful. That was like last week. I loved it.
It does. It sounds wonderful. It's interesting we're using the word magic because we're talking about an energy that is actually hard to quantify, I think. It's something that is definitely felt. I think for some people, it's really scary working in a group and they shut down and they're worried about this. There's lots of fears, like a fear of copying, a fear of being copied, a fear of being judged, a fear of being seen, a fear of is my work going to be good enough? I think if you can be open and receptive to the power of the magic and let go of those sort of things and realize that everyone's actually there is helping and is supporting and encouraging and saying really beautiful things about your work, then your creativity just blossoms and bubbles and it grows and grows and grows, isn't it? It's quite a mind shift from working individually as to working in a group like that.
For sure. I think there's some things that definitely contribute to that. I think one of them that you hit on was the leadership, like setting the instructors. It doesn't even have to be an instructor. It could just be someone who's responsible for the energy of the group. Like if I'm inviting people to, it could just, I'm not really an instructor, but I could just say, hey, come over and let's all work on our projects together. Right. But it's my house or my space. And I feel then responsible for setting the tone and the energy of the space. And so as an instructor and leader, I feel that responsibility to do that. And it's always in that spirit of like, sharing. No one's better than the other. What can you learn from me, but also what can you learn from your peers? Helping peers sit together and talk about their work with each other. And also, I feel like it's really helpful to ask questions, questions that foster that continued like creative energy, in the space, like questions that help people think just a little bit more deeply about their work. And then as a student, I've been in these spaces where the leaders have done exactly that. And it helps me feel safe. I think that's a great word for it, like to share and also really open. And then when I'm in that space, then if my instructor is asking me these questions that I want to consider more deeply, I have the ability to do that. I'm not worried about like, what are people thinking about my work? Oh, what if, like the whole like comparison thing, like we're all here to share. And, I love that you always talk, Len, about building people up, so that it becomes a safe space. This is actually all of this that I'm talking about is why I like to do things over the course of a few days. I like 5 days because the first day, you're kind of all just getting used to each other. But like 3 days in, if you're camping together, whatever, like everyone's like open book. So, and I'm thinking you've had like similar experiences, but I think that contributes to the like a better creative process because we've all created this space together where the creativity can just flow and work its magic between everyone. And like as an instructor, I love feeling that because I'm like, yes, now it's happening.
Mm. It's I actually just typed it into our podcast ideas list as facilitating a creative group. It's a whole set of skills. I'm lucky that I've started learning this when I was a teenager, and my first ever job was in an outdoor centre learning to facilitate groups in experiential learning. And I really wasn't a teacher. I was this helper to help learning and help learners. And it actually became my specialty as I grew older and older, is training teachers to be facilitators. And it's something we could talk about at huge length as to what that role is. And maybe it's worth sharing some of those points now, but inspiration is one. You don't need to provide the inspiration, but you need to uplift that vibe about what is inspiring and what is exciting. And it's incredibly easy to do. Like someone shows you something, your reaction to it sets the scene for the rest of the people. And being emotionally excited, being present and actually observing it and talking about why you're excited lifts the energy of the group, and people start to rise up, and uh, there's a bit of a performative nature to this too, that people want to give you more of it, and it becomes incredibly encouraging. And hearing that something is beautiful and that someone's excited by it or inspired by it, it becomes catchy, doesn't it? And it spreads out across the room, and it just grows and grows and grows.
There's really no substitute for being in person. I mean, Zoom and online is great. I think there's certain things that can happen well, virtually, like digitally over the internet. But it's the being in person that I'm finding that is the most rewarding as far as the group magic is concerned. And I was just thinking, I co-led a creative photography retreat in April, and one of the things that we did was we wanted to give, because the other leader, Eric, we both like to create solo. We like to photograph solo, and we wanted to allow people to tap into their intuition to do that. And so it was a kind of a fun process to go through to say, okay, how are we going to have this like group magic of being together and also create solo? Like, is it possible to meld the two? And so I think it was actually really lovely because people could choose that. We allowed people to choose that when they were in the field. They could walk with us. They could create solo. Um, they just got to do what they wanted to in order to create what they wanted. And then when we were all together, there was image discussions and sitting together and what do you think of this? And, when that's why we wanted, instead of hotel rooms, an Airbnb where everyone could just come together. So, side note, I'm doing it again in April. Come with me. Okay. But I personally love it because it's something that I would have wanted to go to. I mean, I do get to go to it, but it's something, I think designing the thing that you want to attend is really huge, because I think that there's also magic in that when people come to join you on this like special experience together in person.
That's how I run my life. I run trips and I write programs that I wish I could have attended or that I want to be attending. And the retreats that I run are my favorites. And the last one, we took printers, we took piles of paper, we took all our bookmaking stuff, and we took bookmaking supplies, and we went and stayed in a large house in the Blue Mountains. And we had one large kitchen or, dining room table, and we didn't eat. Oh, we did eat there, but we set up around it so we could all see each other and we could have the conversation across the table. This is really important for me because when I set up I'm going to set up a public studio that people can come and visit and work in. This, instead of having everyone pointing out towards the windows and looking away from each other, having everyone pointing and seeing other people, and actually there's this ability to be a voyeur and go, "Oh, Brie, what are you doing over there?" And then they show you and someone goes, "Oh my God, that's so amazing." And you just go, "Oh, I'm going to work harder at this." And then they go, "Oh, that's a really good idea. Where did you get from? Oh, that came from that book. Let's have a look. Maybe I could adapt that and bring that into what I'm doing." And that's the magic, isn't it? Is this incredible energy when people are creating, and it's very, very different to doing it solo. I'm making a book at the moment, And to help me facilitate doing it, I've organised a little group. So I've got Shirley Steele and Claire Reynolds, my assistant. We come together as a little group of 3 once a week or once a fortnight. And it's a making day, and we show and share and tell and work to try and support each other in producing a book to enter in a competition. I think it's just something set up specifically to motivate and make sure that the art making happens. And it doesn't need much facilitation other than picking a date and a place and getting together and seeing what happens.
I love that. And then I was also thinking there's some magic in the personal relationships too. It's not just like working relationships, like, because after dinner, I know at my last retreat, I had all of these photography books, and maybe people wanted to work, but you're tired, and so it's just nice to kind of sit around, maybe have a cup of tea or whatever, and pick up a book and share those things and get to know each other on the personal level, like, oh, my daughter's doing this, or whatever it is, what do you do for work, and so besides the creative work, and I think that makes for deeper connections, which I personally love. And I just think all of those things contribute to why, if you haven't participated in a creative group in a while, why you should. And so I guess this is my call to you to say, go find a group out there to collaborate with, to create with, to make stuff with, and it doesn't have to be, it could be one of mine or one of Len's. That is great. We want you to do that. But also you could message some people and do that, have them over or find a place to create together. There is magic in it. And if you haven't done it in a long time, go do it, because you will feel the magic. It will actually, I think this is one of those things that help you have this creative refresh. Instead of burning out, you're finding inspiration and getting energy from other people, which is really lovely.
It doesn't take much, does it? It's just, it doesn't even have to be a group. You're not even searching for a group. You're asking yourself, which person would I like to hang out with? Which person's energy can I work with? And writing to them and saying, hey, would you like to do this with me? And that's how we got together, wasn't it, Brie? Is that we shared that desire to work together and to have a further ongoing conversation. And Claire and Shirley are my favourite creatives to create with. Some people you bond with in a really short period of time, and the interaction is really quite short. I did that with Tim Parkin in the UK, who edits and runs the On Landscape photography magazine. And we spent 2 weeks together years and years ago, and I feel like I have a soulmate and a best friend, but we only speak once a year or something, and it actually involves getting together to have that particular energy and have that personal presence. So I'm suggesting it could last a week or 2. It could last a lifetime. You could try it and suck it and see, and it might not work. And you might swap around and try different people, and somewhere in amongst all that trial and error, people will start to surface that become incredibly important for you to work with and to collaborate with and to have that group magic energy with. And some people will give you the shits, and it'll be hard and it won't work and you won't want to be there. And those ones you'll end and get out of there quickly. And others will be full of beautiful magic. So a lot of trying and seeing and working on things.
And I have to say, I hardly ever not wait. It's very rare if I don't get along with someone that I'm like with someone in a group. I'm like, hardly ever. And so I guess for all of that, I really think that most people are just lovely to be around. Like most people just want the same things that you do. And I think that's important. I love the idea of spending time in a group because it widens your circle. It extends your network, right? And your the people who you know in certain places, and because one day you could go, oh, I have an idea and I know just who to message or call to do that with because I already worked with them. Like I already participated in this with them. And so I know that they're lovely. And I think that's a huge reason to do that too. Plus, you're just going to get other ideas from other creatives around you, even if they're not making the same thing. I don't even think, like, I was talking with an artist friend, and maybe I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but she paints these beautiful images on silk. And it's Rooted Expressions. Shoot, what's her name? It starts with a K. Hang it. I'm just going to look really fast. Oh, sorry. L. Okay. I probably mentioned her on here before, but Laura Fox Wallace, and she went to France and I know I've mentioned this before, but she did a residency with all kinds of different artists. And so everyone was creating their own things. And she's like, I'm just inspired by what I saw people creating. And it inspired me to be better. And I think you mentioned that too, Len, that I just think it uplifts everyone when you're in that space, to encourage everyone to just be better and up level what you're already working on. I just think all of that is so beautiful.
Mm. It's magic, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Group
sure.
magic. Highly recommended.
That's right. Is that what we should call it? Group magic? Yes.
I think so.
All right.
I'm looking over here and there's Big Magic is jumping out of me. So we've got a new one. We're going to take over the world with group magic.
Big group magic. No, I actually don't like big groups. I think big groups are hard to manage on a creative level. I think it's 6 or less, but maybe it could be even 10 or less. I just think I personally like keeping the group semi-small so that people can really get to know each other and there is not so much like extra noise. It's just easier. It's a little easier. So anyway, not big group magic, just regular group magic.
So the bigger the group, the harder the facilitator has to work.
Mm-hmm.
And the more important that role becomes as the group size increases. And you need, there's sort of magic sizes, but once it starts getting to, 6 and beyond, you actually do need leadership for it to work. You can get away with a small group of 2 or 3 or 4 just being friends and not having a leader. But once you start getting to larger sizes, leader's the wrong word, facilitator, you need actually someone to hold the space and to help organize. And that role can be shared amongst multiple people. It doesn't need to be one person, but there's definitely an element of group work that needs that role fulfillment of managing, organizing, facilitating, and leading. Beautiful things.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. Well, we can talk about that more when we talk about facilitating workshops or whatever it is, groups, because we'll dig into that more on another episode. So, well, I think this group magic episode was magical, but it's over.
So it's time to say goodbye, folks. And it's goodbye from me. Take care.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Len, this was really lovely conversation. We haven't talked in a while, so it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. So it's goodbye from me. Bye, y'all.
Well, wasn't that fun? As we close another episode of A Creative Affair, would you click on your podcast player and leave us a 5-star review and share with another passionate creative like yourself? Thanks. To find out more about our creative work and mentoring, visit Len at lenschool.com or me, Brie, at creativemindscoach.com.